Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're here with Michele Wortman.
Thanks for having me, Luke. I really appreciate the invite to be here.
No, thank you for coming. I'm really excited to get a chance to talk to you, talk about your art. You do a lot of various different art forms and get more into your upcoming show at Cedarhurst.
Yes, it's so exciting. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk about it and share it with your audience.
Yeah, it's exciting. So you do tattooing, painting. That's this show at Cedarhurst.
Right.
You do music, photography, drawing, all kinds of stuff.
And you're raising a child. It's a very busy person.
Yeah, and you're based here in Southern Illinois.
Yeah, I've been down in Southern Illinois for about 20 years now. And
wow.
We've been artists living in the country, working on our art the whole time.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, if you just want to introduce yourself to the audience and just sort of get into just a little background about what you do, what your art is, what your life is, and get into the show that's coming up this weekend.
Okay, sure. So I've been living in Southern Illinois for about 20 years. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, obviously, and we got away from city life to focus more on our fine art and have more personal space around us. In the city, it was just kind of chaotic, and we were always running and busy, and even though we were really deeply immersed in our art, we liked the idea. My husband and I liked the idea, Guy Aitchison, we liked the idea of getting away from the city and moving to the country. So we just went from the top of the state to the bottom of the state and settled here right outside of Marion. And we've been working on our creativity ever since. I'm a tattoo artist. I've been tattooing for also 20 years. When I moved down here, I started tattooing. We have a private studio by appointment only in the country, right outside of Marion in Creel Springs. And I'm going to be showing my art on Saturday. It's a collection of mostly new work, and it's the name of the show is called Active Meditations.
Yeah, I've seen some of the behind the scenes as you've been creating this new work, which I want to get into, but I want to explore more about that decision to come here. Was there something that drew you here? Was there a connection there? Was it the nature? I know you're saying the city life is hectic and stuff, but what was that mindset?
So we were really young when we moved here, and I didn't really know necessarily what we were looking for. It was just the idea of escaping that seemed so intriguing. And we bought a fixer-upper house that took us literally almost 20 years to fix, to a point where it's like habitable now. It was nice, but there was a lot of improvement that needed to get done. My husband, when he was like 19 or 20, was in a punk rock band, and he had come down to Southern Illinois and played near the school at SIU and thought it was pretty down here, like rolling hills, and it was so different from Chicago that it was really enticing to check out. So we thought, being young, we didn't realize it was such a drive. It didn't seem like a big drive. We was like, bottom of the state, we'll just go from Chicago to Southern Illinois. We can still keep our life in Chicago and our friends and our culture and just kind of come and go. And we did that for about a year. And then it just got to be really like too much driving, and we just got more settled, and we just started creating more of a base here. So it was a gradual process. But I would say what drew us to the area initially was just, it was still in Illinois, and it was a chance to live in the country and have personal space. I didn't realize it was so beautiful down here. The first time I went to Fern Cliff, I was shocked. It was like Hawaii or something. It was so exotic with the ferns and the exposed rocks, and I had no idea that Southern Illinois was so beautiful. So that was after the fact. I didn't know when we moved down here. It was still like this. Everything was I was so young, and everything was so different that I couldn't process beyond just getting out of Chicago. Yeah. And then I saw my surroundings, and I was like, this is very inspiring. Yeah.
And you were doing art in Chicago that whole
painting.
Time leading up to then?
Yeah, well, I used to be a hairdresser, so I did hair at a really cool hair salon that I loved. I loved being in Chicago. I was a very city girl. And but I painted also, and I gave it as much attention as I could. So the idea of switching careers and going from hairdressing to painting was it was really like a nice idea for me at the time, because it was something that I felt like was my destiny to do eventually. So I was like, okay, well, let's do it now while I'm young, and then I can be seasoned in my passion and work towards a goal. So now I'm 20 years later, and it's like I'm finally at a point where I can show some work and really feel like I'm diving deeper into why I came here in the first place.
That's so cool to have that connection from like a long time ago, and to see that body of work that you've done, and sort of a reflection point there.
It's changed a lot in those 20 years. So not really what I was doing when I came down, but I've changed a lot, and I've grown with my art, and it's evolved. I feel like in hindsight, it was a really good thing, because I got away from things that didn't matter so much, like superficial things, and focusing more on what's important, personal space, time to enjoy your life. Those are things I really value.
Totally. Like that quality time, when it gets down to it, that's just the ultimate, ultimate thing.
There's no such thing as boredom anymore. I mean, I don't know what it is to be bored. I mean, boredom to me is leisure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like good. If you don't have anything to do and you're doing pretty good, unless you're like stuck waiting for an appointment or something, then that's, genuine boredom. But when it comes to like having a day off, it's a wonderful thing.
So how has your painting changed? So you started that transition from hairdresser to an artist, right? How has it changed to, this new series, this new collection? How's it changed over that time?
Right. Well, when I first moved down to Southern Illinois, I was just I was young and just experimenting with a lot of different influences of what I liked. And then I just looked at it and I was like, this is just too much. It's just like, I felt like it was, I wanted to do paintings that I wanted to look at. It was like some of the stuff I was painting, I was doing a lot of faces and a lot of portraiture and like aesthetics that weren't super attractive, but it was more how I was feeling. And I was just like, this is, emotional. It has its place, but I don't want to hang it up on my wall. I don't want to look at it. Like, what is it I want to see? And I really started paying attention to my surroundings and nature and flowers and the beauty of Southern Illinois. And I was like, I love this. I love sacred geometry. I love nature. I love the subtlety and what it inspires. And I started tapping into that more. That's how my art really changed.
That's so cool. And I want to show some of these pieces. If you don't mind, we can show some of the paintings that you're talking about, like the floral, the geometric of this new, anything else we can pull up just to show the people what exactly we're talking about here.
Sure, cool.
So do you want to start with this new
body of work? Yeah.
Okay, let's check it out.
The most recent piece up there is probably, the stuff that's in 2022, but you could check out any of them. They're all pretty new.
Okay.
I did that one, I think, in 2021, but they're all new. They're all in the past couple of years.
Okay.
So pick whichever one you want, and I'll tell you about it.
This one sort of is drawing my attention here.
Yeah. So the story behind that one is that Carrie, she's the director of Cedarhurst Arts, and for the Schroed Gallery, and she told my husband, I had been doing still lives for 2 years for the show, and I was just going to do still lives. I wasn't going to do anything like psychedelic or crazy, which I'm not saying this is, but it has essence of that. And Guy had to drop off a painting there for another show, and she was like, I really want Michele to do some bigger work. And I hadn't done any big work. So I just threw something together, but it was all with the passion that I'd been building up with. So if I was free from doing still lives and I was just going to go for it with what I was feeling inside, it was this, just like movement, energy, vibrancy. I really love stuff that moves. I'm not a still person. That's why I'm calling my show Active Meditations. I'm very active all the time. My mind, my body, I'm always doing something. So I like to incorporate that into my art and bring that energy in. And this painting is called Dancing Shapes. It has to do with just the freedom of movement and enjoying that. So,
I love it. I love the geometric and the colors, and there is a lot of movement with the design, and just really cool.
Thank you.
I love the colors and these sort of stained glass looking like pinned. I don't know what to call these, but it's great. I love it. And let's check out some other one. I just love these geometrics.
Yeah, I see that a lot of that in your murals too.
I love this.
So we're connected in the vibe. Yeah.
Totally. The Hummingbird. Can you talk about this piece?
Yeah. So again, going back to Carrie, she wanted to see large pieces, and I had started this painting and another painting because it's a diptych, a vertical diptych, a while ago, but it didn't have any of the stuff, and it was really like something else. And I was just looking at it while I was painting it. I'm like, I'm not connecting to my compositions. I just kept going into it until it finally got somewhere. And at the very end, I added a hummingbird. And I like that there's some kind of interaction with another, like a creature. Otherwise, it's just so abstract. It's hard to know where to focus your eyes. Mm-hmm. So this is just happening really spontaneously without a plan. This particular painting.
I think that's
usually
brilliant.
I plan stuff.
Yeah, sort of.
About stuff.
It is very abstract, but that ties it in. That sort of grounds it.
Yeah, grounds
for
it.
the eye, whether it's the face or the face of the hummingbird, the wings. I think this piece is just. So what was the process of this?
The process was deconstruction, reconstruction. Like, I made a video. It's on Instagram for anyone who's curious to see. There's several. I put it to a Grimes song, Grimes and Rez remix. But I just couldn't figure out what to do with the center where all the geometry is. It just didn't match. It was like I had originally a composition that was sort of blah, and I I kept painting on it, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I just got deeper and deeper, and then this just emerged. It's almost like the painting painted itself, and I was just the participant. It just kept unfolding. I would use the word unfolding because it was a really free association, subconscious experience. And usually when I paint, it's with intent. Like I have a drawing done, I have a color scheme I'm working with, I stick with it, I don't deviate too much. That was like kind of scary to do, I guess, in some ways. But I figured I've done so many paintings, if it doesn't turn out, just put it in the closet. And somehow I just stuck with it because I couldn't stand the thought of putting that many hours into something and then putting it away, which I almost did about 5 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is that coming from?
You mean this type of thinking, or?
Yeah, you're saying it's,
subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just think, like, if you really stop to, for me anyway, like, I really love geometry. I love iridescent planes. I like to see how space is constructed in shapes. Like, I really find that super, like, cathartic to think about and to paint. I don't know. It seems hard, but I just really enjoy it. Like, even with still life painting, I really like to paint, like, blocks of clay or boxes or just geometric shapes. I just love seeing the sides and the shadows and the light and seeing how a 3-dimensional object could exist in space, and then taking that and just, I don't know, this is, I guess, an extension of that, but a little bit more freeform with less like literal 3-dimensional space. It's just more representative. And
the colors are just really nice with the pinks and the blues. It's just, I don't know, it's just there's like a lovely feel to it, but also kind of with the harshness of the, you have the lower third on the bottom right here.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels good.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. I'm glad you would say that because I really wasn't sure. So thank you, Luke, for giving some positive statement. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, I've been able to see some of it.
Yeah.
I follow you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's cool to like see the process. I like seeing behind the scenes and what's the process, been like for you, and where does it come from?
Yeah,
I think that's super fascinating.
Well, I would say we're all the sum total of all of our experiences, so it's coming from every experience I've ever had. And then when I look at that, I could imagine maybe going to a different place, but with what I've learned from this. So I just feel like I'm on a continuum, and I see a lot of geometries in your murals, and I could see a connection there too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And almost putting this away, Yeah,
I almost put it away many times. I actually almost thought about destroying it once. I was so upset because I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it. And this painting did go through a lot of really ugly phases. Like it's all posted if anyone's curious to see. And it's odd that I put so much time into it because there's probably in the show maybe 50 pieces that are up. They just filled the room from what I understand.
Wow.
They don't want to show me. They said that they just want me to go there and see it. So I'm excited.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's this Saturday.
Yes, this Saturday at 6:30 at Cedarhurst Arts in Mount Vernon, and it's in the Schroed Building. And if anyone wants to find out more about it, they can go to Facebook and go to Cedarhurst. It's just Cedarhurst. I don't know if it's Cedarhurst Arts on Facebook. That's the one thing I don't know. Maybe we should pull it up and just show the audience because I don't know. It says Cedarhurst. It's just Cedarhurst Center for the Arts, but I think it's just Cedarhurst Arts on Facebook.
Okay.
I never really think about people's sites, but the website is Cedarhurst Arts. No, it's just Cedarhurst. Cedarhurst.org. www.cedarhurst.org.
Let's see, Cedarhurst Center for the Arts on Facebook.
Yep, that's where people can find it.
So
if you scroll down, I think they have something about the show. That's somebody else who's showing their work that night too, but that's my show right there.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And that's the official flyer. And all the information is on there. And if someone can't make it on Saturday, I'm going to be giving a talk about the paintings on June 24th. I think it's June 24th. I hope so. I'm trying to remember all these dates. Maybe it's June 18th. You can edit this, right? In case I got the dates wrong.
Sure.
Art Chat, June 23rd, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, Cedarhurst.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And let's see. I want to look at a couple more of these. Is there any ones that you...
I could talk about. I could talk about the simple stuff and then the psychedelic, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
There's Interstate, which I did a few years ago. It's sort of in the same vibe as that. I did that for a performance. That's down in the corner. That one is from I think 2009. Wow. It has a similar kind of like I guess those two paintings that we were just talking about. This is sort of like the first one of that kind of thinking process. And my husband and I hosted at a tattoo convention. This is really like a crowning achievement of our interests, but we hosted a art jam at a tattoo convention. So there was the tattoo convention, and ironically it was called Hell City, which is, like you can interpret it however you want, but the name might scare some some people that didn't want to go to hell, but it was nothing hellish at all. It was just, they say that sometimes when you get tattooed, you're like, you kind of like you're a rebel because you're going against the grain for maybe, being wholesome and proper, but really all kinds of people get tattooed. And so we hosted right below Hell City an event. It was 4 days, and we invited all the people we knew in tattooing that paint, and we asked them to come and do 2 days of painting in a controlled environment, and then we took it to the floor and made this giant spaceship that kind of looks like this room. It was all black with these really cool lights and had everyone up on the platform, and we had DJs playing electronic music, and everybody was painting because they had warmed up on those 2 days. And the one thing we asked them to do was paint something from their inner state of consciousness. So inner state, it was a play on, being your inner state of consciousness. And so this painting was my inner state of that moment. So this painting is called Inner State, and it's about what we kind of talked about, nature, geometry, the geometry behind it. I see that as representational kind of like an inner world, but also of kind of like this fabric of space and time. Like time is always moving, but yet it's eternal, and just the idea of how you exist in time. Like, I know it's kind of heady, but it's something we all everybody's in it, whether they think about it or not. We're all going through life and experiencing time and the timelessness of the moment and focusing on that and how they go together. Can you appreciate something that's constantly changing in that moment of time? And that's sort of why I got the idea to call my show Active Meditations later, because it was like each moment that you're appreciating is like a meditation. When you're able to be in that moment and not let time kind of like own your brain and not be able to appreciate what's in front of you. So this is sort of like a gateway to that idea, but mixing the two worlds together, which is something I often do.
Yeah, I think, and being able to channel that into this representation on this painting is just lovely. It's just really nicely done, and I think that's fascinating, and I think it's really cool that to explore that, other dimension, right, through these otherworldly geometrics.
Yeah.
I think it's, in time being its own, gateway into that dimension.
And time is the time that we have here, and what we're doing with it, and how we're living, and there's so many things you could say about it. But it's not an important thing to occasionally acknowledge. It's not let your phone own you or your chores own you or things that at the end of the day. How much does that really matter?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have your dishes done and you have to get back to people, but don't make it don't make it your the thing you do all the time if you can help it.
It all boils down to that.
Taking time to be in nature is really important for everybody.
It's a healing place for me.
Healing place.
Going, and that's why, again, this nature around here, going out and being isolated in nature is just really, I pull a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah.
And calming too.
Yeah, peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something, I'm not sure of the wording of it, but it's called like forest basking. Have you heard of that?
I'm not sure.
It's like a Japanese idea that if you spend X amount of time in nature, there's actually a healing that occurs on a scientific level. Like your cells regenerate. People who are sick or have trauma or have like high levels of stress, they actually the levels of stress in their body scientifically changes and turns into a state that's a lot more conducive to good health. And so I think it's called forest basking. You could look up there's actually a word for it, but I think it's gaining popularity, and people might not realize that they're doing that when they are spending time in nature. It's truly healing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
real too. It's right there. It's like the earth is.
Mm-hmm.
People take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't think about it enough.
Right. Don't get outside enough, and devices are cool, but they're not the be all end all to your existence. Even.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's a connectedness, like a rootness, like a primalness. It's evolution.
Yeah. And sunshine, vitamin D. Most people have deficiencies now in vitamin D. It's probably why. I guess we're not going outside.
Right, we're in a dark room like this.
Yeah.
On a computer.
But
all
that's
day.
okay as long as you make some time to get outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And pulling that inspiration and holding that through your work and your presence.
Yeah, sharing it with others, like you guys are doing that with your murals too, reminding people that you can have both worlds, I guess tech and nature. I guess that's also the geometry, and the nature is a bridge of those two philosophies, at least to a certain extent.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, and combination.
They can support each other. And
tying in the painting too.
Yeah.
For sure. All of that, right? It's all connected, and I want to talk a little more like how the painting connects with the tattooing.
Okay,
What's that
sure.
like? Is there a bridge? Is there?
Yeah.
What is that like?
So going back to when you asked me what drew me down here and how I changed is when I first moved down here, I had tattoos on me that I didn't really care for aesthetically. Like I was having a hard time with them because even though they were well done, they weren't really me. And so I was really like kind of obsessive about it. And so I turned that obsessiveness into like, my mom influenced me, and my husband, who is a really good tattooist, influenced me too, but turned some of that obsessiveness into a career by becoming a tattoo artist and tattooing the way I wished I had the tattoos on me. So when that happened, if people are familiar with my work or go to see it, it's a little different from maybe some of the other work being done, although the style I work in now has gained popularity. But 20 years ago, it was not popular at all. 20 years ago, people told me I wasn't even tattooing when I was actually tattooing, putting a needle in skin and putting ink in, because it wasn't following traditional rules. So when I went through that deconstruction within myself and I asked myself with the tattooing, what is it that you want to see? Because it wasn't the dark outlines and the heaviness of the tattoos. That's also when I asked myself, what did I want to see with my painting? So those two things in that moment gave each other energy, because I started looking at everything differently. And I also do photography, so I was taking pictures of flowers and getting atmospheric things going and understanding composition a little differently. So all those things merged, all my influences at that one singular moment of asking myself, what is it I want to see? And that is really the biggest seed that influenced all these mediums, is just an extension of me. The tattooing is a little more commercial because people pay me for the tattooing, but it's definitely a style. Like if you look at, some people will be like, oh, they all look the same, but they really are quite different from each other. You just have to pay attention. like they're floral, they're long, they're fitting similarly, but each person has a different look. Similarly, just, yeah.
I'll look at some of your work. We've got your website here.
Yeah, if you go to tattoos, there's sections up there. Body sets, I guess you could go there first, because that's kind of like something that I've been working with for a long time. I really love symmetry. It doesn't have to be total symmetry, but balancing the arms. So a lot of what I do is matching tattoos on both sides of the body. I like to create kind of like a garment or an overall look. And
wow.
I think if I wasn't a painter first, I wouldn't have approached tattooing this way, because traditionally the way that you approach tattooing is like very like a draftsman, like you have to clean, perfect black outline, really meticulous, and then you do your color, whereas I like tattoo very loose and then get tighter as I go. And some people don't like that because they're like, why is she tattooing so rough in the beginning? But I think general to specific, like a painter. And then when the tattoo's done, it looks really nice and tight, but I don't do it like that in the first pass. So it's the opposite, really, of how a lot of people tattoo. But it came that way out of painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your own approach.
Yeah. And being out here and down in Southern Illinois and not having the influences of other types of tattooing as much. My husband is a really talented tattooist, and some people will be like, well, how come he tattoos that way and you didn't follow in his footsteps and tattoo the way he does? And it's because I'm not him. But we are still very complementary, and he's still been a huge inspiration to me. So
that's great.
He's always said just like work on whatever like compositionally could have been improved, work on my stretch, work on my positive negative relationship, which is something he talks a lot about. And he's an educator in tattooing, so pretty well known. So, but yeah, we just are artists, and that's what we do. Yeah. I think all art should be something that is free. It shouldn't have to be controlled by someone else's expectations.
Absolutely.
It kind of bothers me when people do that. Say there's rules.
This is this is the right way.
Right. This is the right way.
One answer to.
Right. I don't like that. I think there should be room for everyone at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just showing the process. I lay out stencils. This woman, Jen, she's been getting tattooed for a long time for me. She's going to be coming soon, and we're going to take it down to her wrists, and she wants more background. So, most of the clients that I work on, I consider myself to be, I have a word, like the Bloom Project, if anyone, I haven't mentioned that yet, but that's what I call my body of work with the women I tattoo, because it's a process and my work is open-ended. So people over years have been just layering and adding on and going further, and we develop their tattoos every time I see them and change them a little bit. So it's kind of conceptual, but it works. And they love it because they get new tattoos every time I see them. They want to start new stuff, but once they see their arms changing and developing and going deeper and having more refinement and beauty, they're really excited about it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like painting, because you're layering, you're painting, you're stepping back, you're adjusting, you're fine-tuning.
I guess just the human element being the canvas.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Versus is there is that the main difference between the two?
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting thing about a canvas of a human being is they talk and they have an opinion, and they might say, I like this and I don't like that, which is great for, I mean, I love the direction because they might cause you to do something you never would have done otherwise. So I see when I tattoo other people as a collaboration, a co-collaboration. And I should also mention, since we're talking about Cedarhurst and tattooing and art, is that my husband and I are going to be hosting with Cedarhurst Arts a tattoo discussion on July 9th, and it's at 6:30 at Cedarhurst Arts, and we're going to be talking about is tattooing art, and what makes it art, what makes it fine art, how do people see tattooing as art. So, and talking a little bit about the history of tattooing and it as an art form, where it started, where it's gone, and everything in between. So I think that's a great question or statement that you made about how is it art, how is it different, because that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the correlation between the two.
Yeah, the correlation between the two. Well, when I tag people on Instagram, the people who collect my work, I always tag them art collectors, because I really feel that that's what they are. They're collecting art. It's no different than going to a gallery and buying an expensive piece of art off a wall and hanging it up. I mean, people spend a lot of money on tattoos, and it's a big investment for them. They wear it everywhere. But instead of hanging on their walls, it's representing them. And I also call it bling, because it's kind of like fancy, and it's not essential. I mean, some people would say tattooing is essential, but it's really a choice, like it's an extra. So you don't have to be tattooed, but if you are tattooed, you might enjoy it. So it's cool that people can walk around and show their art, but I see them as art collectors.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And where are these people coming from?
It's a great question. So for my clientele, people come from all over. I have people coming from California, Oregon, a lot of people from Ohio. I don't have a lot of East Coasters, some Chicago people, but most people travel. I do have some local clients. I try not to, I'm not available to the general public because I'm a specialist in the style that I work in, but I do have some local clients. I don't do names and small little tattoos with black outlines. So there's plenty of people around here that do a great job. So there's a market for every style that you could possibly imagine, even locally. But people seek out this particular look and this particular process.
It's so cool to be able to create your own style and to have that people seek you out for that and be able to come from very great distances to come see you right here. That's really awesome.
I feel very blessed and very honored to
That's really cool.
be able to experience that. So super humble on that, and I never take it for granted. And I try to give back what they give me, and keep the door open for everyone, and let them know how much I appreciate them and the time that we spend together. Is I've made a lot of friends through tattooing, like clients that become friends, and we share a lot of time together. So it becomes a very nice bond that I have with my clientele. I don't have like a big clientele, but a small clientele of a select group of I didn't get to say mostly women, because this is the style I work in, and I don't mind specializing, because you go to specialists for all kinds of stuff. Why not tattooing? I still tattoo men, but not as many, and I'm basing it on my own experience that I had like 20 years ago when I first moved down here and looked at nature and asked myself, what did I want to see all this stuff happen as a result? And it probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't move to Southern Illinois and appreciate how beautiful Ferncliff is, and see the flowers and stop to smell the roses, metaphorically and literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you tell people when they, okay, you're coming from California?
I tell them where to stay.
Yeah.
Like people stay in hotels, but lately I've been referring us really great little, it's like, how do you say it? Like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's not a bed and breakfast. What is that? Is it Airbnb? Yeah, Airbnb. Yeah. And it's called
short-term rental.
Damn Near Cabins.
Damn Near the Lake.
Do you know that?
I do.
Yeah. They're such nice people, and they do such a nice job with like a modern, clean aesthetic, and it's close to our studio. So we've been referring a lot of people there.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Yeah. Oh, cool that you know them. Because of course it's grassroots, which is very cool too.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, they've helped us with a few projects.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
So shout out.
Yeah. Actually, Kathy, she's the one that told me about them. She stayed there. She's the one on the right, and so we've been telling all of our clients to stay there now. So
nice.
She really enjoyed her experience. She gave them rave reviews. She came from Seattle, so she came quite a bit. She got her first. She's body set, and she's coming out for more work. She got her went from 0 to 180. Had no tattoos, and came up for 2 full sleeves. And she's almost 60.
Wow,
isn't that amazing?
That's rad.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
she's really cool too.
That's awesome.
She's a fun lady to know. Super fit because she does yoga, so it's like showing that it's possible to look amazing for a long period of time.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And have these beautiful artwork. Carry that around. And what's the process for the tattoo? Is it different than the paints approach?
Yeah, so she came out for the first time she was here. She's been here twice now. She came out for, I think, 4 days. If I'm getting it right, she'll probably tell me 5, but it was like 1 day upper arm, 1 day lower arm, next day off, 1 day upper arm, 1 day lower arm. And then that healed, and then she came back like a season later, and I got a second pass on everything and added some more work and adjusted stuff, added more contrast. And then the next time that she's coming out, I'm going to go through her arms and selectively make adjustments and add trickling flowers throughout the piece to kind of break it off in a very organic, kind of lace-like way. So I feel like the best work I do in tattooing is the work I get a chance to do those multiple sessions on and look at and adjust. You know, like when you look at something, you have to step back and you have to take a break, because if you stay in it, you just don't even know if it's good any longer after a certain period of time. With painting, with tattooing, when the tattoo heals and you see areas that are like patchy and areas that are too light and maybe areas that are almost too contrasty in some cases, you can make adjustments, but you can't really do all that on a first pass. So it's really nice to get some distance from the piece, and I approach it the same way I approach painting. My brain sees it the same, so I don't know if that's bad or good, but it's me. So it's just like you have to own your weirdness, right, and run with it, because that's what makes you you. So I don't know if it's weird, but it's unique. So weird is different, right? Yeah, weird. I don't know if it's weird. I would say more unique than weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a correlation. What's the definition?
Well, weird is like something that's like, I don't know if I like that. But I mean, a lot of people respond really well to the ink, that, especially people who don't have tattoos. They're like, wow, I hear from my clients, I don't normally like tattoos, but that's really pretty. So it's nice. It's nice. Not that they're looking for validation from someone else, but it's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the human element being the canvas and the skin, right? Yeah. The skin's an organ.
Right.
Right. So I guess it has its own properties, right? Working with it versus canvas and stepping away, like you're saying, the healing process. Is there anything else with that?
Well, so I could go on. I have so many chapters in my head and things that I do, but I am actually working on a book right now. And I have the project that I'm doing is called The Bloom Project. People can find out about it by going to thebloomproject.art. That's online. And I also have an Instagram account called The Bloom Project. And I'm working on a book right now talking about some of my clients and the different things that they've gone through in the course of me knowing them and getting tattooed. So some people have gone through healing. Some people have gone through transformation. Some people have gone through empowerment. Some people have gone through all those things in different combinations. So I have seen, since I've had a clientele for like almost 20 years, because some people haven't been tattooing for exactly 20 years, but a good span of time, like major life changes. And I feel like, I'm not changing their lives, but I'm facilitating the change that they need. So, whether it's like just healing. I mean, some people have trauma. I mean, a lot of people have trauma, but people get tattooed for that reason, to reclaim themselves, or empowerment. Maybe someone doesn't feel seen, and maybe someone is shy and is an introvert, and they get tattooed and they have to talk to people, and they have to hear compliments. It's like, I mean, some people just feel like people don't even look at them, and then they get tattooed, and the kind of response that they get is life-changing. So it's just validating, just to be seen. So
to have that effect and ripple within their own lives, like seeing that course, even a little spark, what that can turn into. Like
the butterfly effect. Yeah. Right. So it's not just me, it's all tattooists have that magic. It's like why tattoos are popular. I mean, all of a sudden you've changed yourself, and it can be a really empowering thing. So, and some people just want to do it. I have a client who recently, she's only in her 50s, and she just retired early. And she said to me, Michele, I've always wanted to get fully sleeved, but I just can't do it for work. And now she's fully sleeved. We just did it a couple months ago. That's empowering. She can do it because she can, and she looks amazing with her full sleeves. She didn't even question it. It's just the right thing to do at that time. So that's cool to be part of that and to witness that. So I don't remember the question you asked me and how I came to that conclusion.
They carry a piece of that with them.
Oh, right.
And
they carry that piece of that. And it changes with them, too. Like, as they age, then they can get refreshed. So that's the other thing, too, about my tattoo style. It does need some refreshing because it's lighter. It doesn't really, the aging process, I don't know if I'm on the camera or not. I don't know if I'm here. But this is like 10 years of tattooing without much touch-up. But it's going to get touched up soon. But you can see it gets lighter and softer, and some people do like that. But ultimately, it's nice to go back in and refresh it and give it contrast. So if you're willing to go that path, then there's nothing wrong with tattooing without black outlines. Black is just bold. There's an old phrase, bold will hold. It's true. I'm not going to lie. It's true. But maybe you don't want bold, and that's okay, too. Different styles for different people. So that's something I've been, kind of talking about a long time.
That's so cool.
It's a whole tangent.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful work. I love the floral elements as well. Is it? Are you sketching at all for these? Or are you just
I design the tattoos a lot of times in Procreate. Well, now I do. I used to just, I use Sketch sometimes. I mostly use digital technology and collaging.
Yeah.
And then once I start the piece, I start building into it. Like I lay a foundation and I go really OCD on it. But over time, I hope people appreciate that about me, that I actually care and I want to define it and redefine it and just keep developing it. Some people are like, is she done yet? But I'm never done. That's the truth.
It's a process.
It's a process, right?
It's all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I say the Bloom project, the project is the process. They're exactly interchangeable. Yeah.
I love that mentality and that approach to art.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you feel that way. It shows in your murals too, and everything you've done for Marion, which I'm, it's nice to meet you and see.
Yeah, that's
see what you're up to.
Yeah, well, it's been nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
And hopefully more stuff to come.
Yeah.
A lot, different. We were talking offline, like different projects that might be coming up in the fall, and just more things. We're trying to facilitate more art and more raise the vibration and create a culture, like bringing outside, creating something out of nothing, the whole process.
It shows. I've noticed it since the first mural, and I don't know, when I first saw Union Street Art, something about, I think I saw an interview with you or something, and you were talking about how you went to college down here. Did you go to college down here or no? You didn't?
I graduated from SIU.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I moved away for a while, but I finished at SIU, cinema photography.
And then you stayed
in theater.
You stayed in Marion. And you made it more beautiful with your murals or your inspiration for other people to do murals. And
yeah, well, I came back. I left, came back, sort of, I needed that, though, that outside influence.
Right, of course.
I needed that experience, like getting out into the world and seeing what else was out there, what was possible.
Yeah.
And, but no, being able to be it here and do it here, like you do it.
Yeah.
That's inspiring to me, to be like, you can create your own style, your own demand, your own, and live the life you want here. So I'm excited.
Cool. Well, I mean, this is off topic, but it sort of relates. Yesterday I was driving and they had a Rosie Perez interview on NPR, and they get the sound. When you listen to NPR, like if you haven't listened to NPR in a while, but it's the same day, they'll play the same interview again. So I heard her catchphrase twice, and it was talking about how she got to where she wanted to be, was she just kept at it. She just kept doing it. And if you keep doing what your interest is and you stay focused, eventually something does happen. So if you don't quit your daydream, chances are you have a good chance of achieving that, just a little bit. It's true though.
I love
don't
that.
quit your daydream. I mean, you just have to stay with it. You cannot, if you lose your faith in what you're doing, I think that's when it all crumbles, right? Even if it's hard, and even if it's like a push to get to where you're going. It's not necessarily the things you achieve aren't always going to be easy. Yeah.
Definitely not easy.
But if you stay with it, then you
have to remove doubt.
Yeah.
To believe, self-belief.
Right.
To dig deeper and don't quit.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, focus that process. It's all the process.
And also where you're coming from, like if you're coming from, like your intent. I think intent is a key word. Like if your intent is to do something really great and do your best, and that's the best you can do, then I think that speaks a lot too. People can tell if you're sincere. And sincerity comes in a lot of forms, right? Like helping the community, doing beautiful tattoos, trying to share that with others, all those things.
I believe that what energy you put out, that's what you're attracting, and that's like the vibrations that, the frequencies that will match up, and that's what's drawn to you.
Yeah.
So, putting that out into the world, putting out that energy, that's what I'm attracting, I believe.
Right.
That's how I
Well, I think you are, because I always notice the murals and the town being more cool, and people comment. Like that's the other thing we didn't talk about in this podcast, right? So we didn't talk about when people come to visit in Southern Illinois and they drive through the town square of Marion, they are really impressed. Marion's changed so much. I've been coming down here for 5 years. I've been coming down here for 10 years. It's like I'm seeing all this development. I'm seeing all these new businesses. I'm seeing independently owned businesses more, which is a big thing to me. Like I don't really like chains. I know they support the economy, but it's nice to support individually owned businesses too. So like the coffee house across the street, awesome place, beautiful.
Yes.
The aesthetics are just so modern and cool. And I actually was going to get a coffee before I came here, but I was afraid of being late because I don't want to make a bad impression. But yeah,
that's okay.
Crown Brew is really cool.
Should have had some for the podcast waiting for you.
Yeah, but Crown Brew is really, really cool. And that's really been beautiful for Marion too, because we didn't really have a good coffee house here. In the Civic Center, and they're opening a new restaurant on the corner with those big, beautiful windows. It's the bistro, the seasoning bistro, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. And I've heard there's other businesses opening too. There's a new, really nice tattoo shop, Lost Love. I mean, it's really changed. The vibes changed on the town square, and that's all from, a lot of new energy. sticking around. So my clients do notice that when they drive through.
That's
and
really
I can
cool.
recommend to go to the coffee house, Crown Brew. You know, it's like I don't have to tell them to go to Starbucks anymore, which I'm really like, you know, grateful for, because their coffee tastes burnt and they're very corporate.
Extremely. Yeah. No, really good coffee. And we need that for like the walking, biking, you know, that's more of I want to see, just like that neighborhood art district vibe sort of thing.
Yeah.
Local shops
Right.
in this area. It's really cool, encouraging that. People outside are appreciating that.
Oh, and the pizza place, we didn't mention that. That's
pizza place, yeah.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah. Is there anything like we would envision or still want to see, whether it's around here or even here at Union Street or in Marion or?
Well, we talked about this earlier, but I'd love to see yoga at Mandela Gardens and more events at Mandela Gardens. I think what they're doing there is beautiful. It's actually like it's a gem of an oasis right in the middle of a neighborhood. So cool. Like my daughter and I go over there all the time. We get our lunch and go sit in the garden and take pictures and just enjoy the ambience. I think they're doing something really nice for the community, and I love to see them just keep growing and expanding and offering more events, like some of the things that you had mentioned earlier. Having music playing there, and it's a .org, right? So donation based, so that's always a good thing to support things that are giving back to the community. It's a win-win for everyone.
It's a total gem of a place, and just again something very unique. Yeah. You know, for here, and you know, more things to come, hopefully, with that.
I feel like I'm not totally positive. I think I had some clients that got engaged at Mandela Gardens when they were down here getting tattooed. So that's some crossroads there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's got that kind of magic.
It does. It absolutely does. And we've done a music show out there with Mandela Gardens, and hopefully, again, this fall we can maybe put something together. Yeah. And we'll see. Yeah. You know, try to keep cultivating that energy and that vibe.
Yeah, I'm always like looking for when are they going to do something. Like I follow them on social media, and I wonder, like the few times they've done stuff, it just hasn't been stuff we've been able to do, or it might have been something that we're interested in doing. But it'd be nice if they had more events, and I think that it seems like things are really, really picking up. And I love that they left the lights up in the town square for the whole year. Like it looks so pretty at Christmas time. Those towering, you know, those long gold cords. I was glad to see that stay. Mm-hmm. So that was cool.
Yeah, nice little thing. Sort of a draw, like a light.
Yeah, like a light tower.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's really attractive from a distance. It does something really nice. It was really nice at Christmas, but then I was happy. It's not too overly Christmassy. A lot of people do lights like that in their gardens. So
yeah, it's sort of like almost like just like little insects like being drawn to the light. Yeah. You know, and the darkness.
Right. Especially the long days of winter. Mm-hmm. So I was happy to see that stay up. So I see tons of improvements everywhere. It's nice to see. I don't know. Like, I can't think of, you guys finally have a good coffee house, or we finally have a good coffee house. So that was on my list. And yoga was on my list, and there's Aspire Yoga, which is a beautiful studio. It's incredible. Like, it's amazing. That studio is it's shockingly beautiful, and good instructors there. So my wish was yoga. And, I mean, Union Street Arts, what you guys are offering, that would be on my wish list, too, before it happened, before you guys started. Like, young people staying and putting energy into small-town America. That's something that I think is really a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, in the city, there's already so much energy and cool factor happening. I mean, it's like if you were to go to a city, you'd be one of many. But here, you're the one making it happen. You know, we're contributing to making it happen with the murals, that is, you know, and everything else that you bring in and try to cross-pollinate into action. So make a bigger difference, even though you might not, you know, feel like you are from an outside perspective. It seems that way. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I guess there's like a need, you know, where there's a like a void, you know. Yeah. It could be a void, or it could be like an opportunity to make something.
I did think of something. If you really want to know, more outdoor dining. I mean, I know you can at the pizza place, you can sit outside, but like that's such a nice vibe in the summer, and there's really nowhere to go to sit outside except for Mexican food. And I like Mexican food, but I mean somewhere in the town square. Can you think of anywhere you can eat outside?
No, I can't. I can't think of any.
Yeah.
There's a little deck on the pizza place, but not very big.
Right, a little deck. So that is good vibes for, I mean, that would bring a lot of energy to like social, being outside in the post-COVID era. You know, people are, I mean, we're okay with eating in restaurants finally, but maybe other people would be more comfortable eating outside. I don't know. But the vibe would be good. I don't know if it's because of insurance that they don't want people eating outside as much. But I mean, in the cities and even like St. Louis, you see plenty of outdoor eating. And it draws you there because you're like, oh, those people look happy. They look like they like their meal. I want to go there.
It goes back to being like in nature, being outside. There's just like a feel-good factor.
Yeah,
if you can enjoy time outdoor.
Very well said. You're not missing anything if you're outside eating. You can be outside and enjoy social time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's my request for Marion, more outdoor eating.
That's noted.
Yeah, noted. Okay, cool. If you know someone.
Yeah, we see what we can make happen.
Cool.
You know, all starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And something comes and happens. It all starts somewhere. So, and again, those little ripples.
Right, I agree, and it's already so much improvement. So, as far as art goes, if anybody would like to hear me talk about my paintings, they can come to Cedarhurst, and my art chat is June 23rd from 6 to 7. My opening reception is this coming Saturday. It is at 6:30. And the tattoo talk is July 9th, and that's at 6:30 at Cedarhurst Arts. But you find it online, cedarhurst.org.
Is this a good thing or
That's just my
this one?
That one, yeah, that one's painting. So if anyone is curious to see my process, know more about my paintings, they can find me on Instagram at Michele Wortman Paintings. And I've been posting lately what I've been working on. I just started doing still lifes, so I've only been doing that for like a year, maybe a year, 2 years. This is my second year of doing them, so that ties into. I guess I didn't talk about active meditations and what that is because kind of heading interesting.
Let's get into active meditations.
Okay, active meditations. So I came up with the idea to call my body of work active meditations because while I was painting and I was really dialed in, I started realizing that it felt like a meditation, although I'm not a meditator, because I have too active of a mind, and I can't really seem to allow myself that time to just sit quietly and be still, you know. So I realized that I was feeling like what I thought meditation seems to be in that state of activity. And then I wondered, is it possible that you could have a meditation experience while being active? And then I started thinking, well, I mean, some people feel that way about running. Some people feel that way about gardening. Some people feel that way about when they're engaged in something that brings them a certain amount of joy and peace, their mind shifts and they feel like a sense of well-being, and they're not thinking about the distracting thoughts. And I don't know too much about the clinical definition of meditation, but I believe that it's not just about being peaceful and still. You let these thoughts just kind of like chaotically float around your head, and you come back and forth into focus. So with painting, I was experiencing that, but I was singularly focused on what was in front of me. And there was this process where first I became focused, and then my mind began to explore what was in front of me, and then I had like a realization at some point towards the end of the piece, either about the meaning of the work, the meaning of the moment, the meaning of just something deeper. So it was like a 3-stage process, and I started thinking about it as an active meditation, and then I looked more at what active meditation actually is, and it really was very close to the definition of meditation. And there is something called active meditation that I didn't coin. It was just a random term I came up with, but some people believe that in a Western society, which I am part of, that Westerners have a harder time being still and meditating, but that can still be achieved through action. So I'm playing with that idea just subconsciously of saying that these acts of art were acts of a meditation of sorts, and when I hope that when people view my art, they're able to experience that as well. They're able to have an active meditation with their busy, hectic lives and their focus, unfocused, looking around, looking at stuff, having some kind of personal experience with it, and then making it theirs, personalizing it to their own input. I wouldn't want to tell you what the painting was about, even if it had symbolism in it. I want you to form your own opinion based on your experience with it. So it's like kind of loose ideas centering around the idea of meditation and active meditation. And that's why I called the show that, because you need some kind of theme, and it seemed organically to happen that way.
Yeah, I love that concept, always in that active meditation, that, the painting, that frame of mind. I had a study with some dancers, and I love their point of view on like active meditation.
Oh, they talked about it too?
Well, not exactly
like
that term, a different version, right? But always that they called it the movement.
Oh, cool.
Active movement.
Active movement.
And even when you're still, you're not really still.
Right.
Like even inside your body, like the blood's moving, the air is coming in and out.
Yeah.
There's always something like moving, and I think that's really cool. That active painting.
Yeah. And why separate them? I mean, you could if you want to, but why do we have to? Like, why can't we see that in the moment, in the present moment, while we're engaged in something? And maybe that engagement of what we're doing in that moment will become more meaningful because we can appreciate something about it in that way. It's not just like something you're resenting doing, but something that some people, they say, and this isn't my quote, but that you can achieve that from doing your dishes. Like where's your mind? Like while you're doing them, it's a process, right? And then, it's repetitive, but at the same time, it's still time that you're in your moment. And what can come of that? I don't know. But with creativity, it's even better than dishes.
Totally. And it's the immediacy aspect, in that immediate moment. And that's a big pillar of, I think, like some of, one of the pillars of Burning Man as well.
Yeah.
It's like that immediacy and how important that is in that moment. Just being present in there.
Right. Yeah, and if you can share that with someone in some kind of way, then that's also the ripple effect that you mentioned, because then they can take that with them and then remember that and influence others as well. So I think it's a positive thing to share as an idea.
I think it's cool. I think it's, and again, spread that concept, because people don't really necessarily have access. Right. If anybody listening out there, like, this is like super valuable mentality information for like this artist pursuit, I think.
Cool.
So I think that's really cool, and I love
I like it to bring it to people on whatever level they're willing to take it in, even if it's just in passing. But I like the idea of people being able to appreciate art in different ways, and maybe they don't allow themselves that appreciation because they don't know what they could get out of it if they allowed themselves to be just a little bit more in their moment and not be distracted as much by things that they can do later, like look at their phone or whatever. But sometimes you do get an important phone call that you have to check, but
Right. This Western civilization, as you mentioned.
Right. Yeah. I'm part of it too.
Pulls, right? Yeah.
Like my phone is like it's like a guilty pleasure, and also like a brick, like a ball and chain, right? Because you're not fully present if you're constantly like looking at social media.
Right.
But it's also neurologically rewarding because you're like, oh, these people are doing this, these people are doing that, but like, what are you doing? So that's a voice I hear a lot.
And that's how they've designed it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. They've hacked it.
Yeah, sometimes I leave my phone in another room so I don't look at it. So I deliberately put it away.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we plug the show? Is there anything you want to mention? Anything that we can promote? You have the show, the tattoo workshop? Or?
Yeah. Well, if anyone's curious about any of this, please come to Cedarhurst Arts. It's not that far of a drive. You just get on the expressway and you're there from Marion in half hour, 45 minutes. It's
very close,
beautiful
neighboring town.
Yeah. They have other shows going on that night as well. I should read this card so that I don't get that wrong, but let me put my reading glasses on. Hold on.
There we go. We got to plug the right people here.
Yes. I got to do this right here. So I probably say the names wrong. But Diane Isbell is showing hats, and from what I understand, she's been making these fancy hats. She's done hats for the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
And she's made these fancy hats for people to wear to the Kentucky Derby for I think she's in her 80s, so she's been doing it for a long time.
Wow.
And her work is getting recognized. And if you look at
Very
the card,
cool.
I don't know, can I hold this up where people can see? This really cool card that I'll leave you with. But shows one of her fancy hats here, and her work is going to be on display. And then there is this artist here named Fred Stonehouse, and he does very allegorical stuff, unusual, like mixing elements together, like creatures with horns that aren't necessarily horns that would have grown out of their heads. With I've heard his work is very symbolically representational. He uses a lot of symbolism and makes cultural references to where we're at now as a society. And I don't know anything about his work, so you guys will have to come and find out. And those are other artists in other buildings that are showing the same night that I am. So if you come to Cedarhurst Arts on Saturday, you'll be able to check out the entire ground and see 3 different artists, not just mine. But I hope you come and check out my work too, because I'm excited about it. And then, like I said, I'm doing an art talk on June 23rd at 6 o'clock, and I'll be talking about my art and what it symbolism and what it means to me, and more of what we've talked about on the show. And then my husband and I are hosting. I didn't even say we were married, but we're married, and we're going to be hosting a discussion on the title of it is The Art of Tattooing, and really my husband's going to be doing the talking because I'm not one for public speaking. I can talk to you, but barely. I don't really enjoy it. So he's going to be sharing with people like the history about tattooing, how it's art. He's going to be talking a little bit about us and our role down here. Cedarhurst Arts likes to feature artists in the area, in the Midwest, but specifically in Southern Illinois. They have like a cutoff point. I don't know if it's like Champaign down, but focus on the bottom of the state. And it's really nice to have that kind of representation and be able to also, like you said, give back to the community and be part of like a grassroots connecting point. I was so happy to come in here and meet you. I felt like it was destiny, but and plus, I don't know if you can say it because are you editing this? Or no?
Yeah, I
okay,
can edit
because
it.
you signed on your lease. So maybe we had to come in and talk about the enthusiasm here of not quitting your daydream on the day you sign on your lease. So, like grassroots. I really love that. I would love to contribute to that. So,
that's so cool.
Like having my art there, knowing you, and getting a chance to talk about the art and hopefully do other things in the future. All that stuff is good. And I love that they support the Southern Illinois region with representing artists.
Yeah, and I'd love to have someone else on the podcast. Maybe you could connect us, either from Cedarhurst or your husband want to come on and talk about.
They do. They told me
stuff.
to tell you that. So
okay,
Carrie said she'd like a podcast, and then my husband would do it anytime. He's a real talker. I mean, I sound like I talk a lot, but he talks. He's really into what he discusses.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
He's an educator. So.
Well, we want to talk to everybody again, learn, hear stories, right? Yeah. Just continue on that process in the pursuit of connecting in this grassroots movement, right?
Right, for sure.
And it takes all these pieces coming together. So it's been good.
Yes, it's been really nice
to meet you.
To meet you too.
There you go.
Because I've seen your face so much on Instagram, but now I know you as a person.
Yes, right. IRL is better.
Yeah.
We've been behind the screen a lot the past couple of years. Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah. So I hope everyone who's watching enjoyed this, and they will come check out the shows, and feel free to hit me up if you want to ask any more questions. I'm happy to answer.
Yeah. So Michele, thanks for coming on the podcast today. I'm really looking forward to the show this weekend. If you're listening to this, watching this, go check it out. It's amazing work. I love your style, love the paintings, tattooing. It's just so cool. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
All right.